Welcome to my channel. This is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John, and today I'm continuing my series of reviewing the Iron Maiden albums in descending order. But if you're new to this channel and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more. So today we're talking about A Matter of Life and Death by Iron Maiden. This is album number 14. And it was released on August 25th of 2006 in a few countries, and then August 28th and then September 5th in, depending on where you lived in the world. So it's actually somewhat of an anniversary review as well. It is celebrating its 15th anniversary. And this is also the first album to enter the US Billboard charts in the top 10. So it was a very successful album. Now, like the previous albums that I just mentioned, it's not a concept album, but they do have kind of these recurring themes. And this one talks a lot about religion and war. Now, the war theme you can definitely see from the cover. I'll be talking about that in a minute. Was released on the EMI label and produced by Kevin Shirley, who has been producing many of their albums. This album is kind of unique. When they recorded it, they didn't master it. They wanted to have a live sound. So according to Steve Harris, the album is heavier and more progressive, but he said progressive in the sense of the 70s rock, not in the sense of a band like Dream Theater. And you can definitely hear that throughout the songs as you'll listen. This is also one of the few albums that doesn't have a title track. I know a few of the Blaze Bayley albums and Peace of Mind don't have title tracks. And the cover, let's talk about it. It's a pretty cool cover, created by Tim Bradstreet. He's a comic book artist, and he drew for Hellblazer and The Punisher. Now, when I first looked at this cover, I'm thinking, there's no Eddie on it, Where's Eddie? But he actually appears on the front of the tank. He's painted on the front of the tank with some guns. So that's pretty cool. The album does have a classic Maiden sound, but it's a little more of their modern sound. These guys at this point, I know Bruce Dickinson, he just turned 58, so happy birthday to him. It was a few days ago. And I think, when this album came out, these guys were kind of in their 40s, so they're kind of evolving their sound a little bit. There's less of that fast gallop that we hear from the 80s. The songs are longer, have a lot of slow parts, and they're very complex. There's a lot of different layers and tempo changes and things like that I will be talking about. There are 10 songs, 72 minutes long. Iron Maiden, of course, is Bruce Dickinson, Dave Murray, Yannick Gers, Adrian Smith, Steve Harris, and Nico McBrain. And now let me talk about the songs. So it starts out with Different World. And this is just straightforward Iron Maiden. Has a heavy sound, the fast pace. This is the shortest song at 4 minutes and 19 seconds. It does have a memorable chorus. It's kind of sticks in your head when you listen to it. And the song was made available for streaming on their website a few weeks before the album's release. It was actually the first song that the fans got to hear. Technically not their first single. That was a reincarnation of Benjamin Briggs. But it was their second single, and they did make an animated music video for it. Iron Maiden does have a tendency to release their shorter songs as the first song that people hear. And this song is not always representative of the rest of the album. It's something we're kind of still wondering how the new album Senjutsu is going to be, even though we've only heard Writing on the Writing on the Wall at this point. But it's a good song nonetheless. Next are These Colors Don't Run, and at this point the songs start to get a little more complex. The song starts with a melodic bass riff coupled with an electric guitar melody. Band kicks in, and the song's a hard rocker. It moves at a fairly slow pace. There are some tempo changes, kind of gives it a proggy feel. The song does have a breakdown with some twin lead guitars. Has some keyboards creating some textures. The breakdown goes right into a solo, kind of returns with this pounding drum beat. And there are some more melodic riffing, and their signature, their whoa, 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 towards the end. Every Iron Maiden has to have a song with the whoas on them. So that's These Colors Don't Run. Next is Brighter Than a Thousand Suns, and this is the second song available for streaming. Fairly slow song, has like a slow melodic building riff. It goes into a really like heavy, like crunchy Iron Maiden riff. Not something we hear a lot, but it goes into like this then right into like the melodic part. So that's like really cool. But it does have like these like softer and atmospheric parts as well. Song doesn't really feel long, or some tempo changes, or some faster sections. You do hear some of that gallop in a few parts, and it's complex, but it's a really excellent song. So next is The Pilgrim. This one has more of that classic 80s sound. It has that melodic twin guitar leads, almost like a folk metal sound in that riff, and it does kind of go into like a heavy gallop. This one's a little faster paced as some of the others. I think this song would fit like well on like the Power Slave album. It does have that like sound to it. I guess just in my opinion, I guess. There are some like progressive and almost like psychedelic rock moments during parts of the song, and it's the second shortest song, a little over 5 minutes. Next is The Longest Day. This is one of my favorites. This was the one I was playing at the beginning of the video, and I mentioned it as an honorable mention in that top 10 video did it with Josh Kish. It has a melodic bass and guitar intro, and it's one of the slow building songs. The lyrical theme is about like the D-Day invasion and like the toll it took on the soldiers. The song that slowly progresses has like this like melodious verse and chorus, really cool killer breakdown, pretty cool complex neoclassical guitar riff, goes right into the solo. There are some like complex parts to the end of the song, and really great drums, almost sounds like blast beats, and pretty cool melodic lead guitar solos. Next is Out of the Shadows, another song that has that like classic sound, some heavy power chords. The intro goes right into like this melodic passage. Bruce's vocals are a lot softer, a lot more melodic. He does do his like signature like loud vocals or his belts, when he gets to the chorus. But I guess you could consider a ballad. It is a little slower paced than the others. Lots of melodic leads, and one of the shorter songs, under 6 minutes. Next is The Reincarnation of Benjamin Briggs. This is their lead single. Most popular song on the album, I would say, and it does have a pretty cool backstory. They did something similar to like the Blair Witch Project, where they kind of created like this story to kind of make people think it was real, but it really wasn't. So, and they actually had like a website about Benjamin Briggs, about a man. He grew up in like these orphanages, and then there was a house fire. He lost his parents. He was in the orphanages because he lost his parents. And he's kind of like a strange guy. He made a lot of paintings. He had these weird nightmares. Then he disappeared, and then he had like a cousin who was looking for him. And in the end, it was like all a hoax, like just like to create like buzz, like for the song. And it's another one of my favorites. I also listed this in my honorable mentions in my top 10. Slow building song has a quiet lead guitar intro, soft vocals, and the main verse riff is very heavy. Has some pretty cool power chords, some lead guitar fills, and some tempo changes, some galloping guitars, and a lot of like melodious lead guitar playing. So again, this is one of my favorites. You probably know this one. Next is For the Greater Good of God. This is the longest song, 9.5 minutes. Steve Harris really gives like really great bass intro, and another one of the slow builders, has some clean guitars and melodic vocals, keyboards in the intro. About a minute and a half, the song picks up pace, starts to kind of move at a faster pace, lots of drumming and heavy metal riffs, some time signature changes, some layered guitar riffs. This has more of like an epic sound, lots of like complex riffing and like soloing towards the end. It's pretty cool. And the last two songs are the ones that I guess I didn't like as much, but I'll talk about that towards the end. So we have Lord of Light, it's a slow builder, lots of layered guitars, and it is kind of complex and proggy. It almost reminds me of the band Tool, at some parts, but has some progressive undertones. Song does get fast and heavy after about 2 minutes. Some pretty cool like classical or classic metal riffing. Does get slow again and has some like softer sections. The last song is The Legacy. As a slow intro. This one sounds like kind of like a classical guitar, pretty cool clean guitars. The song is, I don't know, I think the intro is a little long in this one. Kind of like takes long to kind of get to the point, but not a bad song. Has some cool riffs. Has another one of those like epic, like big sounds. But there's a really cool riff that I like at like 5 minutes and 30 seconds. It has like this riff, and it's almost like a new wave of like British heavy metal riff. I guess you have to listen to the song. Other than that, in conclusion, I guess it would be one of their best of the 2000s. I'm not sure, because I do like Brave New World and Dance of Death a lot, but I haven't decided yet. But my favorite songs are definitely the Benjamin Briggs and The Longest Day. Kind of like I said with the Final Frontier, it is a little long. I would say Final Frontier had the kind of like more like filler like throughout the album, but this one, I think like the last two songs, like they maybe could have trimmed them off, maybe kept them as extra tracks or B-sides. That kind of would have been a really great album, but it's still a really good album. I like it a lot. And that's it. So let me know in the comments, what do you think of the album? Comment below. Let's talk about it. And that's it. This is actually a really good week. I have a lot coming up. A lot of cool anniversaries and stuff. So, like I said with Iron Maiden, I will be doing Dance of Death, but an anniversary of Motorhead's Orgasmatron, celebrating 35 years. Really big anniversary, Metallica's Black Album, celebrating 30 years. New releases, Slaughter to Prevail. It's a deathcore band. That's the only one I'm considering doing, which I may or may not do, because there are actually a lot of like cool retro reviews coming up. The Who's Next, celebrating 50 years. That one's coming up during the weekend. Doing another collab video with Brian. I will announce that towards the end of the week. And the Kings Give the People What They Want has another anniversary, which I may or may not do, depending on, if any other new releases come up. And that's it. So like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow with Motorhead.